Balwin Properties has delivered a strong half-year performance, but it's holding back on a dividend for now. The residential property developer posted a 44% jump in revenue, driven by increased apartment sales. Headline earnings per share rose 29% to just over 20 cents. Despite that increase, Balwin's withheld a payout, saying it's prioritizing debt reduction in the current environment. The group says it will reassess its dividend position at the end of the financial year. Anglo American's copper production was largely flat in the third quarter. That's as a result of lower output at Kolahauzi, with the strong performances at Quellaveco and Los Brancas offsetting that. For the year to date, however, copper production fell 9%. Nevertheless, the global miner has left its 2025 guidance for the transition metal unchanged. The update comes as Anglo moves ahead with plans to merge with Canada's Teck Resources in the hopes of forging a new global copper-focused heavyweight. Within the Anglo stable, Kumba has also provided the market with a third quarter update. The iron ore miner says sales in the 3 months to end September rose 7%. That's thanks to improved logistics stability, particularly when it comes to rail performance, and comes despite a 2% dip in total production. CEO Mpumi Zikalala has described the performance as solid and says it positions the miner to deliver on its guidance for the full year. Valterra has reported a 7% decline in platinum group metals production during the third quarter. The PGM miner has cited Groendel's transition to a 4E tolling arrangement as a reason for the slump. To give investors a clearer picture, if Groendel is excluded, then total production would have been broadly flat. But despite the decrease, the firm says it's on track to deliver on its production guidance for the full year. WeBuyCars expects its full-year core headline earnings to increase between 12 and 17%, but per share the metric is forecast to rise by as much as 6%. The difference is due to the issuance of 83 million new shares throughout the past year. South Africa's largest buyer and seller of used vehicles uses core headline earnings to measure and benchmark the firm's underlying performance. More detail will be made available when the group publishes results on the 17th of November. The Glencore Merafe Chrome venture produced significantly less ferrochrome during the 9 months to end September. It says the 51% slump was due to smelter suspensions amid adverse market conditions. Chrome ore production also came under pressure, dropping 3% due to temporary equipment breakdowns. There was, however, a brighter spot in platinum group metals production, which rose 6%. And that was supported by higher feed volumes. Aspen is looking to Africa for growth. The drug maker's CEO says the firm is in the process of registering Mounjaro more broadly across sub-Saharan Africa, and it's hopeful that launches will take place next year. This follows the successful launch of the sought-after weight loss drug in South Africa. South Africa needs 3.7 trillion rand over the next decade to fund its green transition. That's around 4.5% of GDP every year. The estimate is part of the country's latest climate action plan submitted to the UN, known as the Nationally Determined Contribution. It tightens South Africa's emissions target to between 320 and 380 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent by 2035, which is about 20% lower than previously pledged. The plan also outlines new funding tools, including a climate change response fund and a just adaptation and resilience investment plan to help attract more concessional and private finance for local projects. Further afield, the ASEAN bloc of Southeast Asian nations and China signed an upgrade to their free trade agreement, which includes sections on digital, the green economy, and other new industries. Here's more detail in this package report.
China signed an upgraded free trade deal with the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN. The 11-member bloc is China's biggest trading partner, with bilateral trade totaling $771 billion last year. Beijing is seeking to strengthen its ties with ASEAN to counter hefty import tariffs imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump. In Kuala Lumpur, Chinese Premier Li Qiang stressed the importance of avoiding protectionism.
Unilateralism and protectionism have severely disrupted the international economic and trade order. External forces continue to interfere in this region, and many countries have been unfairly subjected to high tariffs. Our development now faces greater risks and challenges. Confronted with political and economic bullying by major powers, pursuing division instead of unity brings no benefit. It only allows external forces to divide and rule us.
Beijing's Commerce Ministry said the upgraded agreement includes sections on digital, the green economy, and other new industries. It was signed at the Summit of ASEAN Leaders, which Trump also attended on Sunday at the start of a trip through Asia. Talks on the upgraded deal began in November 2022 and ended in May this year, just after Trump's tariff offensive kicked off. Beijing has been seeking to position itself as a more open economy, even as it courts criticism for expanding export restrictions on rare earths and other critical minerals. The US and China extended a trade truce this weekend in Kuala Lumpur. Negotiators hashed out an agreement for Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping to decide on later this week when they meet in Seoul.